King Tutankhamun, better known as King Tut, is one of the most famous pharaohs of ancient Egypt. However, there are some bizarre and unexpected facts about his life and death that are sure to surprise. You know that King Tut's heart was missing when his mummy was discovered, or the fact that his parents were most likely siblings. Keep watching to uncover the weirdest facts about King. So, number 20, we may finally know what King Tut really looked like. We have many images of Tutankhamun, ranging from colossal stone statues to small golden figures, these all shown as a fit, handsome, and vigorous young man, confidently driving a chariot or hunting in the desert. However, these are not portraits, they are royal propaganda, which presents all of Egypt's kings in the same idealized way. We cannot assume that Tutankhamun actually looked like his official image. Tutankhamun's mummy shows that he has a damaged foot. Some experts believe that this is the proof that Tutankhamun had mobility problems when he was alive. Others believe that the damage to his foot was caused by the application of tight bandages during his mummification. Because of this difference of opinion, modern reconstructions of Tutankhamun vary. Some show him leaning on a walking stick, others an athletic young man. Number 19, King Tut's tomb recently received a makeover. After years of traffic from tourists, King Tut's tomb was closed to visitors in 2009 to undergo a long conservation project. At the beginning of 2019, the archaeological site finally reopened to the public. Today, the attraction features an air filtration and ventilation system, restored wall paintings, a viewing platform, and new barriers to protect precious artifacts from viewers. King Tut's tomb is one of the most popular destinations for tourists visiting Egypt. Number 18, King Tut rocked pop culture. When his tomb was discovered in the early 20th century, King Tut had a massive impact on pop culture. The Egyptian aesthetic infiltrated the 1920s, appearing in fashion, home design, and architecture. Americans especially were so fascinated by King Tut that President Herbert Hoover even went so far as to name his dog after the young monarch. Tut's impact was felt for decades after his discovery. The historical figure has been depicted countless times in movies, songs, and television shows. Number 17, King Tut was buried with an ancient board game. One of the world's oldest board games was discovered inside King Tut's tomb. Senator Passing has been played in Egypt for 1800 years prior to Tutankhamun's death. It was played by people of all class levels, and even though the exact rules had been lost to time, it's believed to have something to do with life and death. It may even be an early version of backgammon. Number 16, DIY repairs were made on King Tut's burial mask. After surviving 300 years in a tomb in Egypt, King Tut's iconic gold death mask was badly damaged when around 2014 the mask's braided beard broke off. Museum curators used epoxy glue to reattach it. This improvised solution may have ended up causing more lasting damage than the accident itself. Epoxy glue is hard to remove, and attempts to scrape off the adhesive resulted in permanent scratch marks on the artifact's priceless gold. Face. Number 15. There are no hidden rooms in King Tut's tomb even after it was excavated. King Tut's tomb continued to capture the imaginations of archaeologists. In 2015, a British archaeologist put forth a theory based on laser scans that a second room was hidden behind a wall of the tomb and waiting to be explored. He even suggested that Tutankhamun's stepmother, Queen Nefertiti, may have been entombed there. That idea was put to rest when a comprehensive ground-penetrating radar survey showed there were no hidden rooms or corridors adjacent to the tomb. Number 14. King Tut was entombed with a meteorite dagger. The tomb of Tutankhamun contained many extraordinary objects, one of which was a dagger carved out from a meteorite. The dagger was found on the body of the mummy when he was discovered, but it wasn't until a few years ago that portable X-ray fluorescent spectrometry revealed that the materials came from space. The iron in the blade contained 10.8% nickel and 0.58 cobalt. Such a high nickel percentage indicated that the iron came from a meteorite and not Earth King Tut's tomb has inspired many legends since it was discovered decades ago because many people associated with the site have subsequently met with misfortune. Stories have spread about its supposed curse. Some of the victims of this so-called curse include George J. Gold, a financier who got sick after visiting the tomb in 1923, and George Herbert, the 5th Earl of Carnarvon, who died of blood poisoning after funding the dig. This so-called curse has been blamed for more than a dozen deaths. Number 12. King Tut had 3 coffins. Inside King Tut's stone sarcophagus were 3 coffins. The outermost pair were made of gilded wood, and the inner coffin was crafted out of solid gold. Over the head and shoulders of the mummy was the ornate gold death mask that many people associate with Tutankhamun. The mummy was placed inside the Russian nesting doll-style coffins, and everything was put inside a large quartzite stone sarcophagus with a pink granite top. Number 11. King Tut's tomb was robbed twice. Before King Tut's tomb was discovered by Howard Carter in 1922, it was visited by grave robbers. The first break-in took place shortly after Tutankhamun was laid to rest following that initial incident. There was rubble blocking the burial chambers, but it didn't take long for a second set of intruders to tunnel their way in. Number 10. King Tut's successors tried to erase him from history. While King Tut did a lot to reverse his father's unpopular reforms during his lifetime, none of it did much to protect Tut's legacy in the long run. Heat's successors did their best to remove his wife and Ken Solomon from history and the memory of Tutankhamun along with her. Tut was buried quickly and in a small tomb normally reserved for private citizens, not one of the grander tombs meant for pharaohs. Because his tomb was out of the way, it remained untouched for centuries until it was rediscovered in 1922. Now King Tut is the most famous Egyptian pharaoh of all time. Number 9. King Tut was in history's only young pharaoh. King Tut was likely the youngest pharaoh to lead Egypt, but not by much. Cleopatra became co-regent with her younger brother and husband Ptolemy VIII in 51 BCE when he was just 10 years old. Looking beyond ancient Egypt, there are many young monarchs from history who shaved years off of Tut's age record. China, Russia, England, Spain, and France are just a few countries that have crowned rulers when they were babies. Number 8. A chariot accident may have contributed to King Tut's death. If King Tut did indeed die from a broken leg, the question still remains of how he broke his leg in the first place. According to one theory, the teen king died in a horrible chariot accident, which is why one side of his body, including his leg, was found crushed. The chariots used by royalty in ancient Egypt were small and light, allowing them to reach high speeds. Although there's no evidence that chariots were used for racing during this period, they were used during war and for hunting rides. Number 7. Experts used to suspect that King Tut had been assassinated. King Tut's mummy was discovered with a hole in his skull, leading some people to believe that the young pharaoh had been assassinated with a blow to the head. This theory has since been widely debunked by experts. It's now suspected that the hull was either put there by embalmers when King Tut was being mummified, or it was created when archaeologists first removed the mummy's gold mask. It's much more likely that the infection in his leg was the cause of his death. Number 6. King Tut had health issues. King Tut had a severe bone disease that left him disabled. He had a club-left foot, which made it hard for him to move around. In ancient art, he is often depicted sitting down when engaging in physical activities like archery, whereas other pharaohs were always shown standing up in similar scenarios. It's believed that Tut's inbred lineage contributed to his physical issues. CT scans of his mummy showed that his left leg had been broken and infected, which may have contributed to his untimely death. Number 5. King Tut changed his name. King Tut went by many names during his lifetime. He was born with the name Tutankhaten, which translates to the living image of Arten. After he became pharaoh, he changed his name to Tutankhamun, or living image of Armen. This change was a reflection of Tut's devotion to the god Armen, whom his father had neglected in favor of the god Aten. Today, Tutankhamun is most commonly known as King Tut. Number 4. King Tut reverses father's religious reforms. King Tut didn't need to do much to impress his subjects. His father Akhenaten had been a disastrous ruler. Akhenaten changed the established religion to focus on the worship of one god, the Sandia, which left him branded as a heretic. Akhenaten also moved the holy capital from Thebes to Amarna when Tut became pharaoh. He undid his father's changes and declared Thebes to be the religious center once again. This helped him earn the trust of his people during his brief reign. Number 3, King Tut became pharaoh at age 9. As the grandson of the pharaoh, Manhotep II and son of the pharaoh, Akhenaten Tutankhamun was destined for the throne. He assumed his position as Egypt's leader at the young age of 9 and ruled until his death 10 years later, around 1324 BCE. It is believed that King Tut was the youngest pharaoh to ever rule over the ancient Egyptian empire because he was so young when he came into power. His uncle was likely in charge during those early years. Number 2. King Tut had an incestuous relationship of his own. King Tut was married to a woman called Ankhesenamun, who's a daughter by Khanatan, and Nefertiti that made her Tutankhamun's half-sister or his full sister, if the theory about Nefertiti being his mother is true. King Tut fathered 2 daughters with his wife, but unfortunately both children were stillborn. Their bodies were mummified and eventually entered in King Tut's tomb with him. Ankhesenamun outlived Tutankhamun then. Possibly got married to the pharaoh Tut's uncle after Tut's death. Number 1. King Tut's parents were related, something that wasn't uncommon with royal families trying to maintain a pure bloodline throughout history. Around 2010, an analysis of DNA taken from the mummies of King Tut and his relatives revealed that the boy pharaoh's parents had been brother and sister, but that discovery has since been disputed. Tut's father has been identified as the heretic Akhenaten, but the identity of his mother remains unknown. At least one archaeologist believes that Tut's mother was actually Queen Nefertiti, Akhenaten's cousin and one of his wives. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. Before leaving, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.